Here are 5 big mistakes that every music producer should avoid. As a self-taught musician of over 26 years myself, I've made all of these mistakes. And so in today's video, I'm going to show you how to avoid them to make your best music at all times. Starting with mistake number 1, being influenced instead of being inspired. In short, to influence is to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, while inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. The point is the same like drinking too much. Too much influence on your music can lead to you just straight up copying another artist or producer out there. It'll change your character. It'll change your development as a musician or a music maker. I will say that there is a place and time for both influence and inspiration, because many of us are influenced by the artists that we love, the artists that we listen to, especially when we don't have our own voice, when we're looking for our own sort of artistic style when we're creating our music. We can be influenced by Kanye West, by Timbaland, by Zaytoven, I don't know, whoever it is that influences you. And these are the people that help us craft our own style, because in order to be original, we have to first take from something that has already existed before. Every single artist on the planet is influenced or has been influenced by someone that came before them. So this is a perfectly normal part of the process, but it's important that you stop the influence at some point and start allowing what people do to not just dictate you doing the same thing, but to inspire you to create something of your own. Inspiration is all about raw creativity, that raw, pure form of action that leads you to making things unlike anybody else. So there's nothing wrong with being influenced. Just don't get drunk off of somebody else's artistry. Mistake number 2 is not following your creative flow. Now, we maybe have all had the conversation about when to stop, when to break, versus when to keep on making music. How do you know when it's time to stop, step back, go home, leave the studio, versus stay in those overnight sessions and continue to pound out the music that you feel in your heart and in your mind? Well, that depends entirely on you as an artist and as a person. Sometimes some people benefit from bunkering down, whatever the phrase is, and really going hard in the music that they're creating. But other times it's important to take a step back, because when you spend too much time creating your music and you're hearing the same loop, the same kind of phrases over and over again, the same arrangement, you can kind of get that ear fatigue and your music starts to sound a little bit less exciting. It's because it's getting older and older to you the more that you replay it and replay it. And that's not to say that it's bad. It's just to say that you're getting tired of it, slightly maybe even annoyed by it. I know that's happened to me sometimes, where I will be sitting here in a mix, trying to mix a song. I'll be as deep as I can possibly be. And because I'm so far down in that mix, hours in, the song just becomes dull to me. So when these kinds of moments come, it is important to stop, or at least take a break, a 30-minute to 1-hour break, so that your creative flow can kind of build back up. I think what we forget to realize is that creativity is something that ebbs and flows. It comes in waves. It doesn't always it's not, hey, I'm always here, just come and take a piece of me. Using your creativity is like exercising for your brain. So when you're exercising, you're burning calories, right? When you're using your creativity, you're burning your brain calories, okay? And what happens is we need to recharge, we need to eat, we need to drink, we need to soak up something and refuel so that our brains can feel refreshed again to want to continue to create. So sometimes that's taking a break, going to watch something, listening to somebody else's music, reading a book if you do that kind of thing. Just anything that feeds into your creativity. Do that first, take that break, and then come back to it maybe the next day, or it could be the same day, but just an hour later. You have to give your creativity some room to breathe and not always try to hammer it out every single second of the day, because that's the quickest way that you're gonna burn out. And I would know, because again, I've gone through this. So aside from the times that I think taking a break is necessary, there are times where I feel like I'm just being lazy and I'm having a really down day. Even though I'm being creative, I just feel like, man, I just want to go home. I'm tired of mixing this song. I'm tired of trying to come up with this next line. I can't find any words that rhyme. That rhymed. And so I'll just give up. I'll just stop making a song, and that song will never get finished. And this is a thing that plagues the music producer community. But instead of quitting so soon, I'm going to tell you sometimes you want to push through that fatigue because it can occasionally bring across some of your best music. And you pushing yourself, you're strengthening your creative muscles. And like I said, this is high intensity creative training, right? Pushing yourself past your own limits is a necessary thing for your growth, but also the creation of some of your best music that you can possibly make. The important thing here is knowing when it is time to stop and when it is time for you to continue to push. I can't tell you when that is because only you know your body and only you know your mind. So that is entirely up to you, but just keep these ideas in mind when you're thinking about whether or not to continue or to take a break. Mistake number 3 is going to be not upgrading your old equipment. I know what you're gonna say, oh, but gear doesn't matter. That's the thing that everybody says, right? Wrong, okay? Gear does matter because if you buy some $25 microphone off of Amazon, chances are it's not gonna sound good, okay? The gear does matter if you wanna make good quality music. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out there and buy a $3,000 microphone if you don't have the money to do so, or that you have to even go out there and buy a $500 microphone if you don't have the money to do so. All I'm trying to say is that recording on the same gear over and over for an extended period of time, at least for me, can allow you to stagnate. You want to get uncomfortable, and I'm speaking from experience. Uncomfortability leads to growth. Don't wait so long to upgrade your equipment, because then this is going to allow you to learn something new about a new tool that you have and subsequently revitalize your workflow. You're going to have to change a little bit of the things that you do with these new tools that you have. They're going to be implemented in a new way in your workflow, which is going to somehow, some way, change the music that you create or inspire you to make something new. Now, mistake number 4, and the flip side of that, upgrading equipment way too soon. Like I said in the last mistake, don't buy equipment unless you have the money to do so. Do not go in debt unless you have the credit and the financial strength to do so. You basically want to upgrade to your new equipment once you have mastered your old equipment and it's no longer serving you or your growth. It's okay to have that equipment to create with, but when it's holding you back is when you want to let it go and then buy something new. I think I see a lot of times people think that if they just buy the most expensive microphone, or if they just buy the most expensive MacBook, or if they buy the most expensive DAW out there, all of a sudden they're going to just start making amazing, incredible music. But that's not the case. The equipment doesn't make the musician. The musician, with his knowledge, makes the musician the musician. That sounds like I could have used less words. So I've seen people that have bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment for their home studios or their regular studios, and they have made music that sounds like utter garbage. And this is no offense to them, but this is just to say that you should not be upgrading to this expensive stuff and these crazy complex microphones that have all these features that you don't even know how to work unless you're trying to learn something new. You have the money to do so, and you've already mastered your previous equipment. And finally, mistake number 5 is going to be doubting yourself. Now, doubting yourself is a natural part of being a creative. It's a natural part of being a musician, because when we make our music, sometimes we feel like it's not our best work. So a lot of times we feel like we could have done better. But what's important is that you don't allow this mindset to take over everything you do and to keep you second guessing the work that you create. Because one of the most important parts about being a musician is being confident about the music that you create. It's being a full believer in your capabilities and who you are as an artist. And I know with external forces and social media, this can be a bit hard sometimes when you're expressing yourself, when you're posting your music for other people to see, and then they start judging you for the music that you create, saying this is not good enough and this sounds horrible. And then you start to doubt yourself because of them. It's important that you trust yourself and your own creative abilities. At this stage for you in your life as a creative musician, have you made something that you are satisfied with? Not all these other people. Yes, we make music for an audience, but the first member of the audience is yourself. You are the listener. You are the first person that you have to please. Oh, I don't know, because they said it. What? Who cares? Making both good and bad stuff is part of the process of success as a music artist and a musician. So you should 100% always be proud of the work that you create, even if it isn't perfect. And if you ever do face self-doubt, then that's totally fine and normal, but be sure to brush it off and keep things moving. So that's 5 big mistakes that every musician makes when they're making their music. And if you found this video to be helpful, I've got another video here that I think you'll really enjoy watching and you'll find useful as well. That's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I love you. And as always, stay legendary.